So after years of suspense, mind games, and emotional family drama, Drishyam 3 has finally arrived. But instead of delivering another gripping thriller, the film ends up like feeling like a franchise that has simply been stretched too far. The story once again follows George Kutti and his family as old dangers return to haunt them. The same case that destroyed their peace years ago comes back into focus, forcing George Kutti to protect his daughters once again while trying to hold his fragile family together. On paper, it sounds like the perfect setup for another tense thriller. But the biggest problem is that the film struggles to justify why this third chapter even needed to exist. Mohanlal returns as George Kutti and, as expected, delivers a calm and controlled performance. He slips back into the character effortlessly, reminding viewers why George Kutti became one of Malayalam cinema's most iconic characters in the first place. But this time, even Mohanlal's screen presence cannot save weak writing. The issue isn't the acting, it's the lack of a compelling story around him. The first half of the film is where things really begin to drag. After briefly recapping the murder and the traumatic events from the earlier films, the movie shifts focus towards George Clooney's film production business. Since the Drishyam story inside the movie becomes successful, George Clooney is now dealing with production issues, business troubles, and even a leaked movie situation involving YouTube. Unfortunately, none of these subplots feel exciting or suspenseful. The emotional angle involving George Clooney's daughter is also surprisingly weak. Earlier Drishyam films worked because audiences constantly felt tension, fear, and panic inside the family. Here, those emotions barely exist. George Clooney spends most of the film worrying about possible dangers, but the narrative never creates enough real threat or for viewers to truly feel invested. Even for the interval twist, it fails to leave a strong impact because the build-up before it feels dull and repetitive. The second half improves slightly from the midpoint towards the climax. The film becomes somewhat more engaging, mainly because the pace finally picks up. There are few emotional scenes that work, and the climax introduces one experimental idea that tries to give audience a final surprise. But compared to the unforgettable twist from the first two films, this one feels only average. That perhaps the biggest disappointment of Drishyam 3. This franchise was built on shocking reveals, clever writing, and edge of your seat suspense. But here there are barely any memorable twists at all. The family drama feels emotionally hollow, the suspense lack urgency, and many supporting characters feel completely underrated. Actors like Meena, Ansiba Hassan, Esther Anil, Siddiqui, and Asha Sharad all return and perform their parts sincerely, but the script give them very little to do. Nobody really gets a standout moment. Technically, the film is decent. Anil Johnson's background score supports the mood as well, while the cinematographer maintains the grounded visual style fans expect from the franchise. However, the editing feels loose, especially in the slow and repetitive first half. In the end, Drishyam 3 feels less like a necessary continuation and more like a forced extension of a story that had already reached its perfect conclusion. While there are few decent moments in the second half, the film never comes close to matching the brilliance of the original classic. For long-time fans, this may still work as a casual one-time watch at home, but as a theatrical experience, Drishyam 3 struggles to justify its existence, proving that sometimes even the greatest story need to know when to stop. Thank you for watching. Bye.